Thank you for joining us at the webcast today. If you've needed to move PDQ Deploy or PDQ Inventory to a new computer, this is the webcast for you. If during the webcast you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat window, or you can email them to webcast@adminarsenal.com. I'll turn it over to Shane and Lex.
Hey everybody, I'm Lex.
I'm Shane.
Today we are going to move PDQ Deploy and PDQ Inventory.
Let's do it. First of all, when we say move, we're talking a lot of you have probably initially installed PDQ Deploy on maybe your workstation, and then it's time to get a new machine, and you're like, I don't want to lose all my data, or you want to move it from one server to another server. So what we're talking about here, you're still going to have to do a new install, but we're basically retaining your database, keeping your, in the case of PDQ Deploy, you want to keep your deployments, you want to keep your deployment history, your list of packages, etc., and of course with inventory, all your computers. So.
Yeah. So kind of give you the lay of the land here. We've got two machines. You'll notice we've got Guinness, which is right in front of us there, and if you back out a little bit, JJ, right over here, we've got Heineken.
Rock on.
Our favorite beers. All right, so first thing to do when you're going to move, we're going to move PDQ Deploy first, is make sure that you've got the correct version. So we're on version 5.1 here, and it just so happens that I happen to put the install for 5.1 on Heineken.
Rock on.
So first things first, we need to stop the services.
Okay.
So a couple of ways to do that. Preferences, background service, stop the service there.
Yep, this stops the actual Windows service. It's called PDQ Deploy. And of course for inventory, the background service is actually called PDQ Inventory.
Yep. Now another way you can check that is just under services. So apparently I have to type today and we're in trouble. So services, oh boy, we are in trouble. PDQ Deploy.
You can
right
see
there, it's off, and then inventory. I'm going to stop that one too because we're going to be doing that one also.
Yeah, rock on.
So they're both stopped. Now we're going to want to do a couple of things at this point. We're going to want to move the database that exists.
Now the database lives in, by default, in program data. That's a variable. If you just go to %program data, %, you'll see it. There's an admin arsenal directory, and then of course we break it down: PDQ Deploy, PDQ Inventory. The database is called database.db. This is the most important little nugget that you have. This actually contains all of your data. You don't really need to worry about the deployment output unless you really want that. There's, some of those files in there. Really, what you're interested in is the database.db.
And we're just going to copy it up to webcast here so we can access that on our other machine.
You're just putting this on a file share then, right?
There you go, on a file share. The other thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to export from our registry.
Here's where you want to do this. In the registry, there's some data, particularly the license key. Now, there's the license key, but there's also what you see here is the secure key. That secure, and just so you know, bring this up. It's in the documentation that probably 4 of you have read. But that secure key, there are actually 3 keys involved in the securing of PDQ Deploy and Inventory. When I say securing, I'm talking about the encryption for the passwords that are stored in there. There's one key is in the actual application. The other key is in the database.
Yep.
And then the third key is here in the registry. And this is why if you ever contact support, we will never ask you. Sometimes we'll ask you to send in your database for troubleshooting. We'll never ask you for this secure key, because without that, we won't be able
access your passwords.
Yeah, your passwords. So you're going to want to export the registry key if you don't want to re-enter all of your passwords.
Yep. Now it's under HKey local machine software admin arsenal. I'm just simply going to export PDQ Deploy. We'll end up doing this again for PDQ Inventory, but just to keep this simple. And again, I'm going to drop this in that shared webcast folder. Call it Deploy. All right, at this point, I think we've got everything we need to actually move our data over. So we're going to jump over here to Heineken. And
are you going to import the keys first, or are you going to install?
What do you suggest, Shane?
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice? Well, let's just do this. Let's run it right now.
Okay, go for it.
So I'm just going to right-click and merge. I'm going to give this, which I never read anyways. Yes. Give it an OK, and now we've edited the registry. Okay. The other thing we're going to want to do is we're going to install PDQ deploy. So again, this install, if you have trouble with it, you should probably leave the IT to the big boys. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. Watch it not install. That would be fun.
Watch it just die. Who wrote this piece of crap anyway?
Yeah. There we go. We'll launch it that first time.
Now, by doing this, you didn't copy the database over, so it's going to actually try to do an initial setup here. You can go ahead and cancel. Are you going to cancel? Or
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to let it do that because it's going to build the folders I need
Okay.
out in program data. So I'm just going to blast right past this. Put in the... Oh, man, I can't believe I don't think I'm going to get this right. That's possibly, maybe.
Possibly.
All right, so
All right, so go ahead and close that
now we can close this. Now, again, we're going to want to stop that service because that service now exists.
And it's in the background service. So it created a database that we're actually going to delete now, or overwrite, I should say.
Yeah.
So he's stopping the PDQ deploy service.
That's going to allow me to actually do stuff with the database because it's going to release it at this point. So now I'm going to copy that database
.db file. Now where do we go again?
program data.
That's right, in program data. This is different if you have a XP or 2003. If you have XP or 2003, please get off of those platforms.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so now you've copied that over.
Copied over top of it.
Okay. Now let's open up deploy.
Now this time we open it up, you'll notice we'll have references to our packages.
So
The only thing though is we're not done yet. I got to move the repository.
that's
over.
correct. I mean, now you've got your packages, your package history, your deployments, and stuff like that. But there's still a few things you're going to want to do. Since we didn't do the copy and paste of the license key, you're going to need to re-enter your license key
That's correct.
and do that through preferences. But you're also going to want to,
I'm just going to do that off the side while you're talking, man.
yeah, rock on. Like I had mentioned, the repository. So if your repository was on your old machine, in other words, you didn't point it to a file share, then yeah, you're going to need to make sure all those install files are copied to the new location, and then you should be good. But if your old repository perhaps maybe referenced a UNC path somewhere, then you'd be fine as long as you could access that same UNC path from the new computer.
So let's, should we just copy over the repository?
Yeah, sure.
Move it?
Let's go
Okay.
for it.
So where that exists, it's going to exist. Well, actually, we can check under PDQ deploy for where that exists, but it exists under user,
Public.
public documents, admin arsenal, PDQ deploy, repository. And we're going to copy all those. And we'll take them and put them over on Heineken.
And of course, that's going to be, there you go, Heineken C, in the same path. It's users, public, documents.
Admin arsenal, PDQ deploy, repository, paste.
There you go.
That'll take a minute,
And show us really quick, just if they want to end up moving the repository, pointing to a different location, where is that stored?
that would be stored under preferences, under repository.
Perfect.
And this is where you could change that if you did it on a file share. Now, if it was on a file share, all we'd have to do at this point is just point at the file share. You wouldn't have to.
Actually, if it was in the file share, then it would have been moved over because this information's in the database.
It's already been moved.
Yeah, it would have been transparent.
Excellent. Okay. So that's your basic.
I believe we have
Nice move.
we have a question out there. Is there a way to move my current inventory and all of its scans to the new computer without having to start new and not have any information about the computers? Yes. So that's a question. Thank you, Stephen. That's a question for inventory. We'll show you that right now. So obviously, one of the biggest reasons you're doing this is so that you don't have to start fresh.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to shut down deploy just to clean things up.
All right.
Again, need to make sure you have the correct version of inventory. So it's always good to check your version.
Yep, make sure you, Stephen, and those who are following along, make sure you have the right versions. And with inventory, there's also a few other. Might be a few other files you want to grab, but
You want to drive?
no, go for it.
I'm going to let you
Yeah,
drive.
sure, I'll drive. No, why not? All right, so
At this point, again, we're going to want to copy the database. We're going to want to export the registry keys, and we probably want to clean out the ones that are out there and deploy also.
okay, so here's our database.be. Now, if you notice these backups, you might want to keep that. It's up to you. These are previous backups from previous versions of PDQ Inventory that you've had. So you can see this machine's gone back to version 3.13. You might want to retain those. It's up to you. But the icons and scans, those aren't necessary to move over. Really, just the database.db.
Now, what I was mentioning about cleaning up that other database DB that we've got on the share, as long as you know we're copying over it, it's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah,
about
we'll
that.
just delete that one.
Yeah, let's delete the registry too.
Okay, so this is the inventory.
Inventory database, yep.
And we'll do the same thing that Lex had done earlier with the
Registry. And again, that's HKey local machine software.
you can see the
Admin
path.
arsenal.
You can see the path right there,
Excellent.
partially cut out by Lex's shoulder.
Can't move. Okay.
Where did I export that?
You put it out with
Webcast,
on the
okay, good
webcast, yeah.
Good deal.
Out on the file share.
All right, so now we're going to go over to Heineken, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Come back over here.
The install's right on the desktop there, Shane. I was kind enough to put the install right on the desktop for you. It's 5.0.3.
I hate that. I hate that I have to always do this. Okay. I'm going to import that. Perfect. And let's do the install. Thank you for copying that out there, Lexathon.
Didn't know we were going to do that. Just okay, I did. But so while it's installing, I hear we have another question. Should we hit it?
Yeah.
If I were upgrading a PDQ machine, what would be the most valuable hardware to upgrade, and how much is overkill? Well, we're IT. There's no such thing as overkill. All
Really?
the power you can get
Yeah,
is what you need.
it really depends, Josh, on the
Size of your
how
environment, yeah.
phrasing. It depends on. Are you talking about inventory? Inventory is far more resource intensive than deploy. And of course, inventory that manages 200 machines is not as resource intensive as one that manages 4,500 machines.
Yeah.
So it depends on the number of computers. It depends on if you're deploying, how many deployments you have, etc. I would absolutely not use anything that's 32-bit. Stick with the 64-bit architecture. If you're going to use inventory, you're going to make sure you stock it up, especially in the RAM department.
Yeah.
We're
More
talking
memory, the better.
Yeah, more memory the better. A good 16 gig is fantastic. But once again, it also depends on how many computers that you're going to be managing. As far as overkill, yeah, that one doesn't quite compute.
Yeah, no such thing as overkill in IT. All right, so it looks like our install's about finished.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to actually just cancel this part.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to bother creating it. And now I'm going to just move. Let's go back over here to program data.
Admin arsenal. Excellent.
Delete that one. And let's move this new guy over here. Now, there's a few other things. I'm going to just, if you I'm just going to throw this out really quick. Well, I'll show you. If you guys downloaded .NET before to have it install from within inventory, you're either going to have to re-download that or you're going to need to move that from the old machine over.
Yep.
It's easy enough to re-download it. I'll show you how to do that here in a second. All right, so we've copied this over. We've moved. We've imported the registry, so we can just go ahead and open up PDQ Inventory now.
Now again, are we going to need to repaste the license key in?
Yeah, we'll probably need to repaste the license key, or
Okay.
else just enter it in again. But you know, perfect. Yeah. So you'll just need to enter just enter that license key again in preferences. But we could see that the fact that our service started, our background service, that means that it took our credentials. So all
Excellent.
that. Here's my old collections. Perfect. Yeah.
By the way, this is a beta 3
That's a
version.
beta.
So
Well done.
thank you. Well, I like to prep everything properly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can see. Hopefully that answers your question, Stephen. That you're able to get
Your scans,
all your computer history is there.
your collections.
Now, what I was talking about with .NET in preferences, this is up to you. If you remember, we require at least .NET 4 in order to scan a computer. So we made it available if you wanted to automatically deploy .NET 4 to machines that don't at least have that. You can do that from inventory by downloading .NET here. If you wanted to retain that information from your previous install, this is copied down to the program files directory. Program files, admin arsenal, PDQ inventory. You would just copy that over, or else re-download it. But if we're talking about, just so you know, if we're talking about targets that are Vista or higher, in other words, not XP, not 2003, highly recommend that you install the latest .NET, which is 4.5.2, and I would do that through PDQ deploy anyway. If you install .NET 4, it's going to work just fine, but you're going to have a lot of updates
Yes.
that are needed. So if you're talking about non-XP, non-2003, just deploy the latest .NET from PDQ deploy, and you'll be sailing. I think we have another question.
We are most likely to move into a virtualized environment. Is the move process the same? Bethany A.
Hi, Bethany.
I'm going to go with the simple answer on that.
The answer is absolutely yes. It's the same process.
Just so you know that we're running on a virtual environment here. So.
And a lot of it's very popular. A lot of our customers run on a virtual environment. Just it's nice because you can allocate the amount of memory that you need, and if you need to add some more, you can usually dip more into the pool without having to do a new hardware requisition. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, Bethany. Now, what was not captured in the database? For the most part, what you see here in your collection window, or when I say here, I'm talking about the columns. You can always view, edit columns. You can say, maybe I don't want to see scan status, so I'm going to remove that. I don't want to see OS version. You don't see that here. This information, the way it's displayed, is actually stored in the registry of the HKey current user. So that you might notice, hey, I just moved everything over, but
my columns are not.
Yeah, my columns aren't there. That's always kept in the current user. You can move that information if you want, but we're not going to cover that here.
Yeah, it's easy to just redo it.
So there are a few things that aren't maintained in the database, but those are also fairly inconsequential. So that's pretty much how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, reenter your license key. Preferences. Go back into license. Paste it in there. Go grab your email. Entire key, including the lines begin and end.
Start and end. You can also find that in that registry file that you export. Again, read into that. Make sure you get the start and end, and you can copy and paste from there.
Yep. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, you ready to wrap this one up?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, you guys rock on. I'm Shane.
I'm Lex. Thanks for watching.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. If you asked a question that was displayed during the webcast, if you'll send me an email to webcast@adminarsenal.com, we'll get some swag sent your way, and we'll see you guys later.